is Ryan Murphy's Mean Girls.
Heavy Mean Girls in this episode.
Yeah, we really get into burn book territory. Welcome back to And Just Like That. I'm Caroline.
I'm Andi.
And everybody, looks like we made it. Look how far we've come, my baby. You're on the finale of All's Fair. This has been the most unpredictable roller coaster from start to finish.
Truly.
It's like Space Mountain, you know, when you're in the dark and you don't know what's coming ahead. You don't know when the drops are coming. You don't know when you're going to go upside down. You have no idea who's in front of you, behind you. And
it's been a long time since I've done that, but yes, I agree with that take.
Yeah, it's just, you know, we don't know what's happening. And that I feel like I just got to, like, get into it coming in from the end of last episode. I see this gloved hand immediately. I was like, there's only one person that this glove can be.
Other than Darth Vader.
Yeah, other than Darth Vader's daughter, Carrington Lane. And we find out that she's in a therapy session in her office. So I guess at this point, it seems like the only thing she leaves her office for is to watch Meryl Streep movies. In her movie theater, but everything else is at the office. We have sex in the office. We see clients in the office. We have our therapist come to the office. And we find out that she's called her because she's like, I feel like I'm going to snap and kill these women. And this is when I realized what actually this show has been this entire time. And I don't know why it took us this long to get here. This is Ryan Murphy's Mean Girls. And Carrington is Janice Ann.
Mm-hmm.
Laura is Regina George. I think I said Emerald is Gretchen Wieners because she has like all of the secrets and she figures everything out.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And Liberty is Karen.
Yeah.
And Dina is Miss Norbush, Tina Fey's character.
Norbury.
Yeah. So that's like, if you view it from the lens of Mean Girls, that's like exactly what's happening here.
Yes, and especially this episode in particular. Yes. Heavy Mean Girls in this episode.
We really get into burn book territory. But she's talking about, I finally snapped and killed these women. And then I was like, how dare they? She comes after the What did the court stenographer do to you? I also thought what was very funny, the way they dressed the therapist. I was like, okay, did they go after my girl, Kelly Bishop, Emily Gilmore, and they couldn't get her?
She does look like Emily Gilmore. Oh my God.
I was like, we're dressing her like Emily Gilmore, but they didn't have the budget for her.
But with like Barbara Walters hair.
Yeah. It was just so funny. I was like, why is this familiar to me? I was like, oh, it's Emily Gilmore. We find out they're like, we're discussing, they finally dangled the carrot in front of you for the position as partner. And they're like, but trust, I'm going to bite back. And we're like, oh no, I don't know if you felt this way, but I was like, I don't know where we're about to go.
No, and also, like, we've been saying this whole time that, like, it'll be really fun if Carrington joins the firm and they can all be on the same team, like a united front against other common enemies. And so I hope that still happens, but it does seem like we're leaning in the direction of, like, Carr is still the enemy. She's just, like, a secret agent, which, like, I'll still be excited to see.
For sure. It's also interesting, I think, like, when we think back to, like, the premiere of the show, all the press about this show being about Kim, and actually, the show's about Carr.
Yeah, she's the main character, 100,000%. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very interesting that's sort of, I don't know, for all of the hubbub about this show, it's like, actually, this is about Sarah Paulson, and we should have known. Yeah.
We should have. I mean, I think that's the whole Kim thing was like partially just because she's Kim Kardashian and like
Correct.
She's just so big in the universe. But also like could have just been like a red herring too of like you think it's about Kim. But yeah, Carr is absolutely the lead of this show.
As we will see throughout this finale. Emily Gilmore says, we've been dealing with your narcissistic wound for years. And we see this tear come down Carr's face. And it's like, it's very interesting in this therapy session. I couldn't tell, like, how much of this is Carr being authentic and how much of this is calculation.
Yes. This is the thing about this character is, like, you never know if she's performing, even, like, performing vulnerability for her own therapist. Like, could be an option.
And she gets into her fantasy of how she wants to strangle them by their Hermes scarves, force-feeding them foie gras, or how does she lace their La Mer with cyanide. I was like, my God, this woman... we just need someone, not like she can't be stopped. Her therapist makes this comment. She's like, it's not just like, because she talks about like, how can I just let go of a man? But these women just really have gotten under my skin. And she's like, well, it's because it's more than personal. It's tribal, because these are women. They were your peers. And they just, and Dina was your mentor. So it becomes more of this like guttural thing of why you want to get revenge.
I feel like this is true. It's a wound coming from someone that you're like, wait a minute, we should all be on the same team.
Right, because the other team is bad. So how can we be against each other?
Yes.
And that's what happens when you have a writer's room filled with men, probably not a lot of women, depicting female relationships. Who's to say?
Yep.
And she then twists the therapy session on its head and says, your only job now is to help me plot my final revenge. I was like, I could only imagine how my therapist would react if when it came into our Zoom and I was like, this week, it's time for revenge. I would be reported immediately.
Yeah, pick up the DSM-4 and tell me, like, what are some good recipes for revenge in there? I feel like my therapist would be like, the best revenge is for you to, like, get clarity and peace in your own life. And I'd be like, yeah, but that's not fun.
Or, like, what does actually you wanting revenge mean? And how does it go back to your dad? And I'd be like, okay, I know. Not everything in my life has to go back to my dad.
I can just want to hurt someone's feelings really bad, okay?
And what's fascinating, Emily Gilmore comes back to her and says, actually, I was thinking we need to put you on hormones instead of an antidepressant. I was like, oh, which is funny because only episodes before, Carr was bragging about having her period. So now we're sort of saying, is this a perimenopause situation? And Carr, of course, is like, you want to soak my brain in estrogen, fuck hormones, time's up. I was like, oh, God, this is not how time's up was meant to be used. But sure.
No.
And Emily Gilmore is pissed, and she's like, yeah, but you called me to have this emergency, like, house call session because you were having homicidal thoughts. And, of course, then Carr flips it on its head and was like, well, you're way too boring to kill. And is like, all right, well, I'm going to take this revenge into my own hands. And then the Mean Girls really takes off when Carr opens her expensive, like, Hermes notebook, and writes in all red, final revenge. And if it wasn't clear enough, underlines it twice.
This was so funny. Like, this is, like, very, very, very Mean Girls. But also, I was just like, these are the moments where I'm like, we're being trolled. I'm being willingly led into being trolled by Ryan Murphy because this is a crazy thing for a character to do.
I know. And also, I was like, okay, isn't Carr smart enough to not leave behind evidence like this?
Good point.
Literally writing final revenge in red ink. That you cannot erase. You cannot get rid of that. As someone who has been horrified of a red pen since they were in AP English. You can only come back. Yeah.
I just love that she bought this little expensive. It's like when you buy a new notebook and you're like, this notebook's going to change my whole life.
Which one am I going to plot revenge in? Let's see. I love this little leather one.
Yeah, which one of my moleskins am I going to put my evil plan in?
I'll say it's also, she's very Pinky in the Brain coded.
Yes.
Like, she's just Pinky, how are we going to take over the world today? It's very just like, the one track mind, this woman. I
know.
And so we cut to Liberty's. Okay, now I should have looked up. I was like, is this secretary assistant actually British? Or are they also Australian with a British accent working for Liberty? But she's like, but I did try to explain an appointment was needed, Ms. Ronson. And, of course, Carr walks in like a battering ram. Your sacrifice shall not be in vain. And just to remind us that Liberty is from the UK, there's a Union Jack pillow that the interior designer threw on there to remind everyone Liberty is not one of us. She's from the other side of the pond.
This whole idea that, like, Liberty is ostracized for being British is so hilarious to me because it's like, that's not the xenophobia we're dealing with in the United States.
No! It's just so funny for, like, the luxness of the rest of the show. It's like, oh, we're going to go to World Market and get this Union Jack pillow and just, like, throw it on here, and that's really gonna add a touch to the design. It was just so crazy. And Carr's evil plan goes into motion. She's like, I really love your Margaret Thatcher, Iron Lady shit. Just throwing, like, Mad Lib, random, fierce women from the UK, like, to throw in there to say that she knows something about the UK. Mm-hmm. And Liberty tells her, she's like, if you think you've got one moment to come in here to think that any mind that I'm going to vote for you, that's not happening. Not today, not ever. Like, Liberty is powerless against Carrington Lane's ways. And Carr has really figured out her game plan. We missed out on seeing, like, the red tape on the board of, like, how she was really enacting this plan. She's like, you can handle me in a way that the other girls at the firm can't, which is why I always put my fiercest shots your way. I was like, oh no, she's already getting the claws underneath her skin a little bit. She knows the best way to get to a woman like this is to compliment her smarts, because that's the way to weaken her.
Yes, because Liberty has been so insecure this whole time. Out of the 3 women of GRG, like, she actually is the easiest mark. So coming in and being like, you're actually smarter and more clever and, like, fiercer than the other 2 is, like, it's just so obvious, but, like, Liberty is so naive.
I know, and just so desperate to have that validated. Carr makes a little nudge where she's like, I heard them say, like, oh, the thing about you being British and scoffing at the bagpipes. And we know she was insecure about getting those bagpipes at Dougie's funeral and the look that Emerald gives her when that happens. So this is, like, attacking her right where it hurts. And, okay. So then Carr was like, I'm thinking about your wedding. I thought about you. So I was like, wow. Okay, Diana as a royal head. So now this sweater was an Easter egg for me. Because if you've ever seen the lamb sweater that Diana wore, the red one. But this is, like, the sweater that Diana wore. That's, like, bit... Yeah.
Gotcha. I have seen that for sure.
Okay, and then when I saw she freaked out about the plate, well, one, I was like, okay, is this a real plate or do they, like, make it? But it is, I don't know. She was like, it's first edition, but it was only $35 on Etsy when I did a quick Google. I was like, it's not that crazy, but as someone who also has her own royal paraphernalia, hold please.
Oh my God.
Okay, so this I got from a coworker at my old job. This is from the Diana Charles wedding.
Oh my God.
That, and it has, because they make them for, like, each of their weddings. So this has, like, that they were married to Lady Diana Spencer. Then when I was in London, like, a month or 2, like, before they got married, then I got my engagement mug of Harry and Meghan.
Oh my God.
And during COVID, I obviously was watching The Crown, and I'm obsessed with Princess Anne, so I ordered this off Etsy, and this is, like, the one that they made for her wedding to Captain Phillips, and they have it, like, all on the bottom of the mug. But this one I really love. I love the design of it. Yeah.
Caroline said I have props for my episode, and I was like, what could she possibly be talking about? Wow. I knew when that Princess Diana plate came out, because I know you, that you were going to be excited about that. I had no idea that you also had your own dishware.
Well, it was a funny thing, like, that I got that mug from someone who was like, oh, I do kind of love this. And it was like, it's kind of a fun, random thing to have.
So it turns out this plate wasn't necessarily as expensive or rare as they made it seem on the episode.
Yeah, I think it seemed like it was more expensive. I was like, I tried to look up, like, first edition, and I was like, I think this was probably pretty easy to find. But then it's funny. So then she talks about, like, how they were so confused about Princess Diana's wedding. And I looked up again. How many people do you think watched the wedding? It's one of the
Princess Diana's wedding?
Yeah.
Oh, God. I'm so bad at estimating things. So there's 6 billion people in the world. I don't know, 3 billion?
I mean, not far. Okay, so the wedding, it was 750 million viewers, like, for the wedding. But that's like 1981, 1983. And then I looked up, I was like, how many people watched the funeral? And her funeral, it was 2.5 billion people, and 1 million people showed up in person.
So almost half the population of the globe. Wow. Yeah, I mean, she was so deeply, deeply beloved. Which is why it makes this, like, this speech from Liberty about how, like, they looked at her like she was crazy for caring about Princess Diana, like, so weird, because, like, Princess Diana was huge.
Beloved.
Huge in the 90s, and these women are slightly older than we are. Yeah, so once again, like, Liberty being ostracized for being British is crazy, and, like, the women being like, who's Princess Diana?
Is so strange when it was like not just like it was just like a global moment. It's like it was beyond cultural. Like it's seeped to the masses. So that's been my Princess Diana corner that no one asked for.
Incredible.
And
Princess Diana corner.
So then we sort of we see the strategy is that she's gotten herself to Liberty's level of insecurity to say, hey, you feel like you're on the outs by them. I also do. You are seen. I see you. We see each other. I was like, how is Liberty not seen through this? I think that was like my whole thoughts this entire episode. I was like, how are none of you seen through this?
Yeah, they are surprisingly naive for 3 of the most successful lawyers in Los Angeles.
It's really shocking. And she looks so Liberty had her laptop open and she was getting bridesmaids' dresses. And Carr's like, wait, these don't look like you. These look like Allura. The Mies van der Rohe meets a hooker of the night aesthetic. I was like, Jesus. Carr is like, this doesn't look like you. When I think of you, I think of singular, classic, international. Your mom named you Liberty after Liberty of London. So then I had to look up, I was like, what is Liberty of London? So Liberty of London, I found out, is another high-end department store in London that does like luxury, like high-end brands, I think. And
so it would be like my mother naming me Boscov's or
yes,
Strawbridge or Clothier. Macy's, J.C. Penney,
Kohl's.
That's really
that's home.
That Kohl's is in my bloodline in a big way.
Yeah,
in a big way.
The nieces are inheriting Kohl's cash.
Oh, 100,000. That's all I'll have to give them. Yeah.
But that was like Liberty, because I was like curious. So, but there's a lot more, I think, to the history of it. It's been around for a long time, but there's basically one location left, and I think it's this one that you can go to.
Got it. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, and she was like, well, I bet you're like into those florals and those daisies and all that high neck shit. I was like, you think she like Laura Ashley? I was like, what planet? I was like, that's based off of how she's dressed so far when she's only been in like Shiv Roy drag. Like, I'm very confused where this aesthetic is coming from.
Yes, very, very strange.
And she's like, you know what? If they can't support your vision, then off with their heads. Very Queen of Hearts vibe, of course. And she's like, you know what? Good for you, you Thatcher bitch. And Liberty's left contemplating the whirlwind, the Tasmanian devil that was just in her office, leaving her with her Diana plague going, Diana, what would you do? My queen, my princess, my lady. I know, honestly, because it's Brian Murphy, I was like, I half expected the plate to talk back to her. And we cut to Liberty is back in the inner sanctum, and instead we're not catered this time by Nobu. We are catered by High Tea. There's a meeting on the calendar. She's brought the girls there. She's brought the UK to the library where we've got cucumber sandwiches and then, of course, the most insane pronunciation of scones that we alluded to in episode 8. Scones. We find out that, like, Emerald's like, it's the first time she's ever had a scone. I was like, this is how you know a man wrote this line. Yeah. Because they're like, oh, but if you eat a scone, it ends up in all the right places. I was like, we're not commenting on this stuff now in 2025.
No, this is a microaggression.
And we find out that this is how Liberty is like narrowing down her maid of honor choices, and they all are putting their hat in the ring. They're putting their Birkin in the ring. As Laura says, I can be cool and calm during a crisis. And then Emerald is like, but I've known her the longest. And Dina is like, but what happened to give her her career? I was like, God, who is fighting to be anyone's maid of honor? Because the worst unpaid job is being a bridesmaid. I have said bridesmaids need to form a union. Because as someone who has done the 10,000 hours of also attending weddings and how much that they cost and the back and forth, like, no, also, I'll do, Liberty getting married. You live your bridal fantasy, your bridal drag, but we're 50, like, at least. Who needs bridesmaids?
Yes. Also, I just want to point out, Carr said something about, like, Liberty's wedding being next week, and I'm like, you don't have, I mean, like, maybe it's like a small wedding, but like, you don't have your dresses for the wedding that's next week and you don't know, like, who's in the wedding that's next week? What are you talking about?
Liberty's like, oh, but girls, my personal shopper left something for you. Bridesmaid dresses! And I was like, oh, God, no one has ever been this excited for a bridesmaid's dress ever. Because they are uniquely the most unflattering dresses that you have to spend $400 on and not question the price.
Yes. Telling someone that they are going to be your bridesmaid is basically saying, like, I want you to have the worst possible time at my wedding.
And they come back in their Laura Ashley drag.
Oh my God.
Looking like and Andy's was like, they look like the dresses from the Virginia store.
Yes. And just like that. Yeah, when Carrie goes to the, like, Prairie, Virginia store down the dirt road in apparently very rural Virginia. Yeah, this was shocking. It was shocking how bad these were.
I know. I thought I was like, oh, this is backstage from like a production of Seven Brides or Seven Brothers in Oklahoma.
Yes, absolutely, 1000%. These are absolutely like high school costume shop. Hello Dolly, Oklahoma.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're all auditioning for 80 Annie. And they're pretending to act like they like the dresses at first. They're like, they're something. And they're like, oh, you know, these look like drapes that I had in the 60s. Am I going to get a Little House on the Prairie? And then finally, they're very honest to Liberty. And they say, like, I feel like a fool, anybody else. And Laura's like, come on, this is a prank, right? And Liberty's like, oh, but I'm in London, springtime. And it's just evoking this, and then they all start laughing. And they hit Liberty's core wound, and she's like, oh, this I thought was very funny. When Alora's like, your faithful ruffled soldiers, and she's like, can't, like, get through it seriously.
Yeah.
And Liberty's like, well, that was a little patronizing, you know, maybe Carr was right. Woo! And we're like, okay, Carr's gotten underneath Liberty's skin. She's wormed her way in there.
She has. I mean, I will say, like, you need to be told that it's a prank before you, like, start. You know what I mean? Like, get confirmation from Liberty that you're allowed to make fun of these before. Don't just assume. There are always moments in friendships where, like, you want to say exactly how you feel, but you need to get confirmation first that the other person isn't, like, very invested in whatever it is that they've presented you with. Because if they are, you need to keep your mouth shut.
Exactly. Like, you need to know, you have to have permission. And she's like, there's a maid in this room with a modicum of honor. I was like, oh my God. And so Liberty goes off in a huff with a scone in hand. And we find out, how are our Emerald Sons, like, finding, like, in the, like, dark webs of the internet, finding more software that, like, I don't know that exists?
I really have no idea.
I know. They've, like, somehow found, like, yet another piece of software to get more information on people on the internet. We've used it on Reggie. Finally, we're finding out what's going on with Reggie, what his deal is. And we find out he took out a huge private loan to fund his company. He put up his house. He put up his savings. And if the company doesn't hit the target revenues, he's going to default on the loan. We all knew. That's why, like, she can't get married, and he was so adamant about the prenup. Everything makes sense now, what we knew all along. There's something sketchy about Reggie.
Yeah, I will say, like, my spidey sense was actually thinking it was going to be even sketchier, but this still fucking sucks.
Oh, yeah. It's like, I mean, this is Housewives 101. That's like how Teresa went to prison with Joe. Like, you know, she blindly signed a bunch of documents. So it's, at least he had the foresight to be like, you're going to have a prenup so this isn't taken out on you, but still.
Yeah.
Then be honest from the get-go. We can't have a marriage built on a house of cards. And then this comes down to Dina saying, 99% of all divorces come down to one of two things, infidelity or finance. And I was like, yeah, girl, she's right. Like, you know.
She is. People think that marriage is solely a romantic venture, and, like, it's actually much more of a business agreement. Yes, it's much more of a business decision than it is a romantic one. And, like, this is just, you know, classic American capitalist propaganda that, like, it's couched in all of this romantic stuff and all of these, like, other trappings to distract from the fact that it actually is a huge financial decision. And also, like, a lot of that has to do with, like, you know, for a long, long time, and, like, still depending on the couple, marriage is basically, like, you know, taking on women as property. But we're like, but the dresses and the romance and all of this stuff to distract from it. And it's like, If there's one good thing or like productive thing to take away from the show, it is sort of dispelling the myth of like marriage being fully a romantic thing.
Totally. And a reminder that women only got the right to have their own mortgage 50 years ago and credit cards. So like our financial freedom is very recent. So you should hang on to it for dear life. Like that is like just a reminder, any woman in a relationship, hang on to your finances for dear life, because you don't want to be at the behest of like another man. And we cut back to evil boss headquarters, and she was like, Liberty has arrived at her office. Oh, brilliant, Cinta hither. Again, she's using her red pen again. We can see from the notepad there, a scene from a mile away. And of course, Carr is like, it's like going down on a tube of butter. Again, has to make everything sexual. That's her only way to relate to people, is by making it sexual. She talks about, Allura is just jealous because she wants you to be her, but she's only doing that because she's not sure of herself. And that's how she gets affirmation of herself in Emerald, takes all the hot air in a room, because that's only to cover up for her insecurity. So she's trying to butter up Liberty with these scones by telling her she really has something special. And Liberty's like, there's more to you than meets the eye, Miss Lane.
I cannot believe that this character is falling for this. It's so ridiculous.
That's what's infuriating about this entire episode, is that they're all falling for it one by one. But, it was enough for Carr to mark Liberty off of her revenge list.
Yep.
Which also makes me think of in the scene in Happy Gilmore. No,
I was thinking the same thing. Billy Madison, does his lipstick.
And then crosses it off on the wall. And poor Susan is out there eating her red meat, and she has to come in and take a break to take the sconces away. Yeah. And we cut back to GRG headquarters, where we're formalizing the addition of Dina to the firm. But she's like, only in an advisory firm, ladies. Like, you still need to get your fourth beetle. And we find out they must cast their ballots right now, but it's all anonymous. And Emerald's like, Dina, we know you're going to vote for Carr because you want all your chickadees back in the nest. And our stenographer gets to shine. She gets her one line of dialogue. She has like 2 confirm, 2 deny. Now, at this point, I assumed it was Dina and Liberty. That's who I thought voted, right?
That is, I knew Allura did not vote yes. Yeah, I assumed it was Dina and Liberty. I figured it could also maybe be Emerald and Dina, because Emerald's been pretty nice to Carr. But that's who I figured. I figured Liberty and Dina.
And Dina tells us here, on the merits of this decision, you are expressly prohibited from discussing your vote. Which I was like, okay, I guess that's like succession rules. That makes sense to me, that you can't discuss your vote with anyone. And they'll come back in 48 hours to vote again. Dina has gotten in office. I'm shocked if she didn't have it like already. And she tells her like sweet digs. And she's like, I relax meditating the beluga whale orgasm sounds, and it gets loud. I was like, okay. I know.
Yeah, because she's like, I'm going to take the one next door to this office.
We find out she's talking about being a horse person. I got the Wadsworth Medal when I was 16 for dressage. And I was like, what?
Yeah, because Carr comes in and is like, does horses mean anything to you?
And I looked up, not a real medal, but this is what a Dutch warblood. At this point, I'm sort of like looking at Dina's outfit, and I was like, why are we dressing her like Colonel Sanders in the KFC ad?
Yes. She is. I mean, there have been a lot of Colonel Sanders moments from her in this show. Like, we also had the George Washington moment. Like, there's been, they've really, I don't know what they're doing with her costume-wise, but it has been weird and bad.
It made me think of, when they were doing all of those KFC ads where it was different celebrities, where it was Colonel Sanders.
Yeah, and it was Reba McEntire.
I was like, did they get that from Reba's ad? From the archives, from the KFC archives? Carr is like, well, let's continue strolling it to Horses on Sunset, which I looked up. It's apparently like, it's an upscale restaurant, but it kind of looks like a diner inside. Dina's like, well, I thought we would go to the library to have dinner today. And of course, Carr's like, interest is piqued. Oh, we're going to the Inner Sanctum Chow Hall to have lunch. Let's do it. Nobu is catering, baby. And so we find out the results of the vote. It wasn't a yay, but it wasn't a nay either. And Carr's like, I thought the Rituals of the Skull and Lady Boner Society, you couldn't tell me what happened with the vote. Because she was like, I bet Allura was the holdout. And then Dina goes on this tangent where she's like talking about the food in front of them. She's like, you need to have a bite of this in your mouth. And I was like, where is this going? Where is this whole thing about to go? And she talks about Chef Rickamora has something that no other chefs have. I was like, okay, I had to look up, not a real chef.
Okay, great. I was wondering.
Yeah, I was like, that is too specific of a name. I was like, is this a real person or did they just come up with that? And
I really wish that they had been like Bobby Flay.
Emerald Lagasse had an extra olfactory sensor. That almost imperceptible aroma that tells him exactly like when a fish is done. He doesn't need a timer. I was like, that's crazy. That's not real. But sure,
no.
Go off with your metaphor, Dina. And we find out, plot twist, Dina didn't vote for Carr. And I was like, okay, I think she started to come around because the minute there was a glance of Dina when Liberty says that, Carr was right about you guys. That's when I think Dina's olfactory sensor went off.
Correct.
To the bullshit alarm that was happening with Carr.
Yep. She couldn't have smelled it at all over the last decade plus that she's known her. It was in that one moment, but okay, sure, whatever.
Yeah, go off, Diva. Not when she was at your home for 5 days, conveniently helping you with your husband's burial.
Not when she was, like, giving you the craziest pussy speech in front of your dead husband's corpse. Like,
Okay, sure, we'll buy it. And she's like, I know the lark with the bridesmaids' dresses was your doing. And she then goes off to really tear Carr apart limb by limb, like really driving the wedge home, like knowing she knows exactly where to hurt her. She was like, I thought something would change within you. And she was like, but this nastiness has happened before you've even stepped 1 foot over the threshold. And I will not allow you to be the noxious weed that's going to take apart this law firm. And she's like, I thought you were just a victim of lunchroom seating politics. And they smelled on you something that I couldn't smell until now, a deep and terrifying sociopathy. I was like, whoo! I was like, getting to watch the girls go toe-to-toe. I was like, I'm having a great time here.
Oh, yeah. No, this was great. It was great to see the two of them together. Also, like, a very satisfying, unexpected plot twist.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't realize the show was going to be capable of such a satisfying, unexpected plot twist that Dina did not vote for her. I love that.
But in such capable hands of Glenn Close and Sarah Paulson, anything is possible.
It's true.
And Dina's like, I've only ever felt pity for you. But Carr walks off in a huff, and does Dina or Carr say this? A disappointment never disappoints. I think it was
Dina says it. Yeah.
And I was like, what a final line. I was like, ooh, ice one. Just like very like digging it in.
Yeah, I will be honest with you. I literally was like, wait, what the fuck does she mean? But it took me a second to like understand what she meant.
But I also was like, Dina, you've activated a sleeper cell in Carr, and this is not going to end well for you.
No, it's not. You've already made the mistake of like trying to get her into the law firm, and like there's no way out for you now.
You gave her the keys, and now she's run away with them.
She should have just not said anything.
I know.
Like, she should have just, before they took the vote, said, hey, I think Carr is messing around with your minds. I mean, I know that wouldn't be as good storytelling, but, like, it would make sense.
It would make sense. But she's like, I'm going to make sure that you never step foot in this building again. And we are left with Carr crying, which I was like, was this genuine? I don't know.
My first thought was I thought she was crying extra loudly so that, like, one of the other women would come out of their offices that are off this room. So I thought it was manipulative at first, but then I was like, oh, I think it might be genuine. But it's very brief, though.
It's very brief, because then she, like, locks up all the moisture, and she continues eating Chef Ricky Tikki Tavi's meal. And she's like, okay, I'm gonna finish the meal, and I will get back to it. And then we go to Liberty's office, where she's, like, throwing, like, a bouquet over her shoulders. It was, like, very strange.
Yeah, I think she was, like, practicing to see which bouquet toss would go better. And I'm like, bitch, do you have a wedding dress? Like, your wedding's in a week. Like, this isn't... Also, we shouldn't be doing batting practice with the bouquets.
You're 50. Like, what? Who's doing a bouquet toss? Like, who's this charade for? One of your friends just got divorced. The other, her husband just died. And the other is looking forward to being an empty nest. So who is the bouquet toss for?
Yeah, no one's catching that.
Yeah, it's for no one. And she's like, oh, sorry, to Alora. It's bridal monster over here. When she comes in with her nice, like, massive fur collar, I was like, what is happening here in LA? Like, why are we dressing, again, from Fran Fine? We've gone from the archives with the nanny. And she's like, but of course, Alora, my maid of honor. Why did I even pretend it was anyone else? So she starts to tell her, she's like, I have to break the bad news to you. But we don't get to see the whole conversation. And we cut to Alora's office where she's again in like a lampshade from Lumiere's collection of Beauty and the Beast, the national tour. And Carr comes in and she's like, you know...
This outfit is full Darth Vader, and you cannot tell me otherwise.
From Rise of the Resistance at Disneyland, she is fully... They've dressed her, and well, because they are on Hulu, Disney. It is a Disney property, so they're allowed to use the costumes. Alora's like, you know, I've got your number, Carr. After talking to Liberty into those vomit bridesmaids dresses, I'm like, oh no, Alora, why did you invite her into your inner sanctum? This is only going to end badly. And Carr is like, this is serious. Someone we both deeply care about is in trouble, because she knows the only way to get to Alora is to make her think something wrong is with Dina. This is bad. It's all very bad.
It's bad. It's so bad.
And she's playing at the empathy here. This is so hard. And Alora's like, get to it. I have no clients to get to. Come on. My ex is waiting outside to try and convince me to get back with him again. So, like, wrap it up.
I have to retreat into my neck hole and take a nap in a little bit.
And we're trying to figure out if bad things have happened to Dina. Is it Alzheimer's? Is it dementia? And talking about her mental decline. And Alora's like, what are you talking about? She's always been eccentric, left of center. And she shows her these text messages. Now, this is where I start to question all of these women at GRG. Because I was like, why are we not questioning the source of these text messages? We know what Carr is capable of. Why are we not questioning that these are doctored?
Also, Emerald, at every turn in this show thus far, has been able to use the tools available to her that she already has, and then, like, extra tools that she gets from her sons to, like, figure out what's really going on. So, like, don't assume that these are real.
I know. Like, how could you?
It's so easy to fake a text message. Like, are you kidding?
I know, and especially the fact that, like, they're not specifically not showing us the screen of what the texts look like.
Yes.
It tells me that how doctored these texts are. And we find out she's, like, also now having her pretend that she doesn't believe in divorce anymore. It's shown that whatever has happened, that married couples shouldn't get divorced. Now it's Dina threw a glass of wine at Carr, and not Dina at Carr. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my God, Alora, stop listening. Don't buy into this. And Carr is trying to pretend that she cares about Dina. This is under the guise of caring for Dina. We have to stand united, let her know we care about her. And the seed has been planted into Alora's brain. I'm just so annoyed at this point. Like, how did you feel?
This annoyed the shit out of me. It's like, similar with Liberty. It's like, you guys claim to fucking hate this woman and not trust anything. And then, like, she says 2 sentences and you're like, maybe. And you're like, no. Like, that's Emerald's whole function at the firm, is to, like, figure out, like, what's going on with people's actual personal lives with their devices. So, like, wouldn't you at the very least be like, let me just run this by Emerald really fast?
This already tells me, I was like, if they aren't questioning if these texts are fake, man, I know that they have thought a million AI videos are real.
Yeah.
They are your worst
very likely.
Facebook. They are your parents on Facebook reposting things. You're like, that's AI. That's AI.
Yep.
That's
AI. Yep.
Yeah.
Correct.
And we cut to, again, this relationship we don't care about, but I'm being forced to. Reggie is alive. He's got her flowers that makes him think of Liberty. And Liberty has, of course, found out the information about his finances. She's calling off the wedding. We get this insane fake document they've doctored together showing all the money that he's gotten together. The jig is up. I know everything.
Look at these line graphs.
Tomfoolery. And Reggie's like, but come on, I'm not going to let my company sink before it's even launched. They needed collateral, so I had to give them everything. And that's why I wanted you to sign the prenup. Basically, if you were on your phone in the previous scene, they've redoctored the dialogue for this scene so you didn't miss what was said in the previous scene. It's Netflix rules.
If we weren't recapping it, I would be on my phone.
Exactly. And he's like, this is why I wanted you to sign the prenup. And he's like, that's not the same as trusting me. She's like, you're so perfect in all the ways. And she's upset. She's like, but you know what? I loved you. And I'm formed from these mistakes. And I can't do this again. He's like, I know I'm wrong. I'm sorry.
This man is also constantly wearing a weird little neckerchief.
I know.
Like, what else is he hiding? Is his head gonna fall off?
And also, again, we've built up no sort of backstory for these two that, like, we're not invested in their relationship.
No, I don't care. I really don't care. If anything, I'm like, either get married or break up. I just don't want to hear from either of you ever again.
Like, and not, like, make a decision either way. Like, we don't care. And also, Liberty's foot was always one foot out the door. So she was just looking for a reason to call this off anyways.
Yeah.
Again, the wedding was in a week and she didn't have a dress. So, Reggie, the writing was on the wall for you.
Yeah, seriously.
This wedding was never happening. And she's like, I'm a divorce lawyer. I know what the end looks like. And he's like, you're going to be in my life, Liberty. And we see the famous final shot of this ring on the desk. I was like, okay, nice to see you, Reggie. I will see you in bankruptcy court.
Thank you for stopping by.
And we cut to this shot of all four of the women, including Carr, and Dina walks in.
This shot makes it look like their office is inside an Orange Theory Fitness.
Oh, 100%. Again, this is very Star Wars coded, too.
Yes, yes.
It looks like we're at the headquarters of wherever they are.
Oh, yes. This is absolutely, like, prequel Star Wars of, like, Liam Neeson in that, like, weird futuristic conference room.
And Mace Windu, Samuel L. Jackson is sitting on the floor with Yoda. They're really buying into this whole story where Carr has told them that Dina is no longer mentally capable of being a lawyer at the firm.
Some real Kendall Roy tactics.
That, and, like, we're walking into, like, elder abuse territory, and this is, like, just makes me think of, like, Tom Girardi and how this whole thing, since we found out that he had this class action lawsuit and he took all of the victims' money, and as soon as that happened, he was no longer mentally capable, and he now is in like, an elder home. You can find out all of this on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and this is all a very real thing. And I was like, man, there's nothing worse than now we're using Dina's very capable brain against her.
Yeah.
Ugh, it just makes me very sad.
It's sad.
And Dina's like, my mental health is just fine. I must have been hacked. Like we've said, like we've been yelling from the rafters.
Correct.
And they're like, well, but we heard that you were like talking to Doug. And I was like, okay, to use her grief against her like this when literally Doug died in their timeline 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Like also perfectly sane people like talk to people who have passed. Like that's and are very aware. Yeah, that's like actually like of all of the like woo-woo things, like that one's pretty normal. Like watch any movie like people talk to dead people. Like it's not that big of a deal.
But yeah, the thing you could actually use against her is the fact that she had a dead body with her that was in the room with her for several days. That I could argue, but her talking to Doug is like the least of those things. When again, the grief is very fresh.
Yeah, she's back at work, which is insane.
It's crazy. And they're like, but what about the bottle of galantamine in your medicine cabinet, which I looked up. It is a drug they give for people who have dementia or diagnosed dementia or Alzheimer's. And she's like, yeah, but Doug may have been prescribed that at the end, which again, valid defense. I would also assume it was Doug's.
Also, like, do we have a picture of it in the medicine cabinet? Like, we're only going off of Carr's word here. Like, why do we trust her so much?
I know. We've gone from 0 to 100 and, like, suddenly trust Carr for everything. And it's like, These women, I don't like this hive mind that they've like jumped in line behind. And Carr is like, well, Esmeralda says you've been taking them for months. And they say that you threw a drink in Carr's face when you were having lunch. Again, everything Carr is used against her. It's like happening in this moment.
Also, there's no security footage?
Exactly.
Look at the cameras. What are we doing? What are we doing?
Well, yeah, if you are not spending $1 million on this like commercial real estate, you can't use any security footage. Fascinating. And Dina's like, she threw the glass of wine at me. You can't possibly believe these manipulative lies. I've never laid a violent hand on anyone, not ever, which is going to bite her in the ass in 2 seconds. Mm-hmm. And again, of course, Carr has more on Dina. She's like, I wish I didn't have to do this. And they're like, there's too much evidence to simply ignore Dina here. And Esperanza's brought in, wearing now a Chanel ascot, a Chanel scarf. She says she's come into the kitchen and everything on the floor was broken. And she now has a bruise that the scarf was hiding.
Yeah. And we do remember seeing that scene where Dina broke everything. But it was kind of justified because Doug had just told her... she thought that he was getting better, and Doug's like, actually, I'm going to die very soon. So she, like, freaked out.
Correct.
Yeah.
It was all valid. It was all justified. And Esperanza says that she grabbed her by the neck. And Dina's like, what is happening? It's just like, she's being so gaslit in this moment of, like, her reality that all of a sudden, like, again, they just made her partner in the firm not earlier this episode, and now suddenly they don't think she's mentally sound.
I was trying to figure out if we really think that the Esperanza thing happened or not. Like, clearly she does have a bruise, but if this happened, like, I don't know, a couple to a few weeks ago, because, like, Doug was still alive, wouldn't Dina have, like, noticed that she had a bruise on her neck? Like, even if Dina, in a fit of grief, had actually... I just, like, I really can't tell if this is, like, made up or not.
I know. And I think part of that is, like, we have Glenn fucking Close here, like, doing this masterful, like, acting. Like, this works because Glenn is doing, like, Academy-level acting here. And Dina, of course, sees through Carr. She's like, did you give her money? And she's like, oh, you threatened to report her family, didn't you? Mm-hmm. And Carr's like, you're crazy. Like, the money you left your housekeeper in your will couldn't be topped. And she was like, she left you 80% of everything. Aren't you aware of that? And we see this note, which I was like, again, a questioning reality. Was this Dina's handwriting? Or did Carr do this?
Dina says it is her handwriting, but, like, we've seen how devious Carr is.
Right.
What's so fucked up about this is Dina starts maybe believing that this is partially true, that she, like, did attack Esperanza, and maybe she did add this addendum to her will. I really can't tell. I, like, really don't know. I don't know. Carr could have done this, or it could be real. Like, it is hard to tell.
Yeah, it really goes back and forth. And Carr's like, oh, but you wouldn't leave anything for your so-called daughters, nothing for charity, which I had the thought, I was like, these women don't need to be left anything in her will. Like, they're fine. They're fine. Like, I would like for her to leave the money to Esperanza, actually. I would like that. Alura's like, have you had any recent thoughts of ending your life? And Dina, now, this is what's so fucked, is now Carr has her questioning her sanity. Because she was like, I'm not sure how to live without him. Maybe I did grab her. I just don't know. I just don't remember, because, like, when Doug was sick and dying, I was unmoored and angry. Like, of course, your grief, you're not on a real plane. Like, you're operating in a different state of reality. And she was like, I haven't been myself. And, but then she was like, you viper. She doesn't get to pronounce judgment on my sanity, talking about Carr. And then our favorite detective has returned from time traveling from the 70s to tell Dina she's under arrest. Reading her Miranda rights, we have this screenshot from the trailer. It wasn't Liberty like I had thought, maybe a previous episode. It was Dina in handcuffs. And we are left with Carr marking off Dina on her list. And that is the season 1 finale of All's Fair.
So, do you think that Carr framed her for the murder? Or that maybe Dina did commit the murder?
I think, what about both?
I could see Dina doing that, like, because he did assault one of her, you know, like, surrogate daughters. So I could see Dina doing something.
What if it did end up being Liberty?
Could have been, and like Dina covered it up. I had such a hard time with this episode of all the twists and turns of like,
I know.
I can't tell if the Esperanza thing actually happened or if Carr found a way to make Esperanza lie. I really couldn't tell. And like, yeah, like you said, like Dina starts questioning her own sanity. So like, I did not think I was going to like be excited about a second season of this. And like, who knows, the second season might be terrible, but like, I do want to know what happened.
I will say it didn't feel like it tied up anything. If anything, we got more questions, which again, then I guess is good writing. Because like we said, I guess I'm now ready for season 2 to see. I have to know how this resolves.
Can you imagine if it didn't get renewed and we would have to be sitting here being like, what the fuck happened?
Can I tell you that's what happened with me with Ryan Murphy's other show, Dr. Odyssey, a show that left us too soon. I never got to find out if they were in purgatory. So I'm really glad this got renewed because I was left high and dry with that throuple with Joshua Jackson and Pip Basu and the other hot doctor. And I never got any resolution. So I'm glad we're getting it here because it would be sick. It would be sick, but
it would be.
We'll be back for season 2. Let us know your thoughts and theories in the comments. Like, what do you think? I'm very curious to see. I wonder if, like, Dina's going to have to get Alberta to defend her. Oh,
maybe. Yeah, it seems like Alberta has to come back because, like, otherwise why would we have introduced her?
Is Chase in sex addiction reform program? Is he going to come back like a priest in season 2? He's going to be celibate.
I feel like next season we're going to see like the girls think that they're teaming up with Carr to help Dina because they're going to assume that Carr wants to help Dina. And they'll probably have, like, replaced Dina in the firm with Carr. But, like, I feel like we're going to see a scene between Dina and Carr where Carr reveals that, like, she set Dina up and is, like, actively working to sabotage her case.
And then Carr is going to get, like, majority ownership of the firm.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so it's been a journey. I thank you all for being with us for the critically maligned 0% on Rotten Tomatoes, All's Fair, which we think they're not having fun because this was 100% fun. I think
it was. It made me very angry, but it was very fun.
It was a great time. It at least went the depths of camp that I think And Just Like That was scared to go to. Yes. And for that, I will give Ryan Murphy credit. So thank you all for joining us for season 1 of All's Fair. You can find us here on Instagram and TikTok. Let us know in the comments what you feel about this season, and we will be back for our next show very soon. Thank you so much, everybody. Bye.